A crowd of almost 80,000 at the MCG last night for Dreamtime at the G. Lived up to all expectations in terms of a celebration. And if you're going to watch one quarter and one quarter only, Nath, I guess it'd be the last one.
Well, it was a cracking game of football. And a lot of people, I think, would have sat down to watch the TV last night and thought it might be one-sided. But Richmond really came to play. Merritt kicked a very important goal. Then Langford, Ralph Smith then answered and kicked the goal for the Tigers. And you thought, can they dream? Dustin Martin was looming large. He kicked 3. He had 23 odd disposals. But in the end, they steadied the Bombers and they're playing like a final side at the moment. That was it was intense last night and the Bombers stood up against the side that they were expected to beat. But again, it was the way the Tigers play. It was impressive and the Bombers held on.
Yeah, it's a good sign and that's what they need to bring most weeks now for Richmond. None of the excuses that they've had in the first portion of the year. That's the effort that's required and they'll be in games. One of the reasons the Bombers got over the line though was Jordan Ridley in for his first game for the year. He was just enormous. Won the Ayukin medal, of course, for the best player on the ground last night. But 8 intercept marks you've seen this year. I think the thing that really stood out last night was his ball use. Like his ability to pick off those targets and split open Richmond's defence. They had no answers for him. I didn't think Cumberland competed hard enough at all and was outmarked far too easily. But not only this, he had 31. He was involved in everything, but 8 intercepts, 14 intercepts altogether. And he was enormous in his first game back.
If they had a fit Tom Lynch last night, I genuinely believe they could have won. The only thing that stopped them was they had a small forward line and they just couldn't score. But Dustin Martin, I spoke to Damo during the week around, will we see the best of Dusty this week? Because they've had nothing to play for, low crowds, Richmond fans haven't even been turning up. They're 1 win and 9 losses, but this was their grand final last night. 80,000 people and Dustin Martin, I didn't think he ran out the game overly well, but when he was around the footy, he was just breathtaking. Kick goals like, no few can. So 3 goals, 23 disposals. I thought he was Richmond's best player.
Damo, I get that he's media shy, okay, and I get that he's had a gut full of the media at times when he has done it, but surely there's something that would make him do something leading into his 300th or celebrating his 300th, Dusty.
I highly doubt it, TJ. He's had an entire career where he doesn't. He doesn't trust the media. That's just the way he's been. And look, I totally respect where he's at. It's not something that I think he was ever going to give much time to anyway. And despite these new deals they've got, he hasn't bothered to front and we can't expect anything different, even though he's now 2 games away from what will be an amazing milestone to add to a CV that is already as good as anyone's.
The new rules being how everyone's supposedly up for grabs. Yeah, it's a crock.
And the other big name too, even Buddy Franklin, had a similar attitude and outlook on life as well. That comeback you referred to, Lloydo, it was alive when Shea Bolton was still on the ground, but unfortunately for him and the Tigers, he copped a hit here from McKelty Lefau, and it was a one that rocked him. I can only imagine the damage to the back and the neck area, but unfortunately also there was a concussion element to it as well. So he's now in those protocols, was taken out of the game for those reasons last night, and obviously will be now 12 days inside that. But he was giving them a spark when they needed it, Brownie.
Essendon won the game last night based off Richmond turnovers. So Richmond just didn't use the ball really well. Essendon punished them.
There you are.
When the Bombers got belted by Port Adelaide, they were destroyed by Rosie, Horne-Francis, Butters. So an issue still is their stoppage work and their clearance, and that's where Richmond got a hold of them last night. So this is what saved the Bombers last night. So Richmond beat them at the clearance, but it was this. It was just Redman, it was Ridley, it was McKay were too good. But this is the issue for the Bombers. So here's Dustin Martin, one of his special goals. They don't see it through the Bombers. So they got hurt and punished. So Richmond kicked 4 goals, 9 from stoppage, and the Bombers only got 1 goal from stoppage. So Dustin Martin, a freak goal, but they didn't quite see it through like they need to. This was another one, Bolton. So here's Bolton and Zach Merritt at stoppage. So the scoreline is 51-65. You think, how far the Bombers? But they wouldn't go away because Richmond was so good at stoppage compared to the Bombers. So I'm thinking Sydney, Heaney, Warner, all these types of players. Goulden, there's Bolton, bobs up, kicks that goal. No one to be seen from the Bomberland. So as I say, if they want to go on and win a final, maybe win 2 finals, they've got to improve in that area. Richmond were fantastic. So I was there watching this and didn't expect the effort they were going to bring because of what they bought the previous 2 weeks. But Stringer kicked 4, 3 in the first quarter. Ridley was unbelievable, which we touched on earlier. But the recruit of the year has been Ben McKay to the Bombers. What he has done.
Sorry. Tracy's son.
Tracy's son, Ben. Yeah, the recruit of the year. She's been the recruit of the, what is it?
The media.
Yeah, she's been sensational. But Ben, congratulations on what you've done and how you've helped transform the team. But how did Brad reflect on last night's game? Because it wasn't the best from the Bombers, but full credit to Richmond.
Yeah, absolutely. It was pretty slippery out there, mate. It was almost like a wet weather game. It was really dewy underfoot, but Richmond are a proud club, and although the last couple of weeks haven't been their best, we're expecting a really fierce contest, and it was a big occasion for both clubs. And the contest was pretty fierce, and took us almost to the last 5 minutes to win the game. But he was proud of the effort, and there's no guarantees in this this industry these days. So that was something we're really aware of, and happy to grind out a pretty good win.
Even though, sorry, Dana, you weren't there last year, has he been quite strong on the fact that at round 15 last year, the Bombers were 5th on the ladder, and that how quick this can turn?
Yeah, spot on, and the reverse as well. I think the Giants and the Blues were 15 and 16th, I think. So at this stage of the year, the ladder doesn't mean a heap, I don't reckon. So it's important to bank wins, and no team's probably playing perfect yet, and I feel like we've still got so much room for improvement, but getting those 4 points week on week is crucial at this stage of the year, mate.
But in your eyes, what happened after the round 4 loss? That being the one where you came back to Melbourne from Adelaide, Port Adelaide had beaten you by 69 points. You haven't lost since.
Yeah.
What is it that, when you recall from that period of time now, that has made you what you are?
Yeah, I don't think a heap changed, mate, to be honest. I was really interested in terms of how Brad would go about it. Obviously, it was a pretty thumping loss, so I think the ability to keep consistent throughout the week, it didn't change from the week before when we won, which was really important. So Scotty's massive on consistency and not changing whether you win or loss, and he's so good at detaching from the scoreboard, win, lose or draw. So that was something I was impressed with, and it's like any team, we probably weren't playing great footy, consistently at that stage of the year, and just doubling down on our process, I suppose, is cliche, but it was early on in the year, and I think we've done a really good job on the back of that, and we're in a pretty good spot now.
You must be pinching yourself in many ways. I mean, not only playing in a side like Essendon at the moment, but playing to big crowds.
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't playing to empty stadiums with North, but you're playing to big crowds now. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the smallest crowd I played in front of this year might be the Sydney game, round 2, which was 39,000. So it's pretty crazy, mate. Yeah, as a kid, you dream of playing in big games, and obviously Anzac Day, Dreamtime last night. A couple of big games to come as well. So yeah, I'm really appreciative of the position Essendon's in to play in big games, and certainly value my time out on the ground. Yep.
Probably further to Damo's question, the Essendon edge was made a lot of at the start of the year, and it was questioned after the Port Adelaide game. Is it something that's mentioned on a weekly basis, or is it something that was at the start of the season? Because the way you're playing at the moment, it feels like you're playing on an edge. Yeah,
it's not something we speak about internally, Brownie. I think Brad may have mentioned it in a press conference or something, but it's more being a good teammate, I think, and having that, that, I suppose, that edge, well, what do you want to call it, in the contest, and the way I view it is, being a good teammate and, having a go, basically. So I think Brad said something early in the year, but, we don't really mention that word internally, but I think from a supporter's point of view, it's nice to see a bit of a brand sort of developing. Obviously, the game starts and stops in the contest, so if you want to call it the edge, I think that's sort of what it's about, and being a good teammate. Yeah.
You mentioned being good teammates. You got a good one back in Ridley, who come in first game back, 14 intercepts, 8 in the air. I'd imagine you're playing on your man, and you're loving to have him being able to do this.
Oh, it's so rare. Like, Rid's played half a game in the VFL last week, and came in and probably played one of his best games of his career. So it's extraordinary, really. It's really nice to have someone of that calibre come into our team and not miss a beat. So he's only going to get better as the year progresses as well. And he's such a high quality person off the field as well, and someone I've really enjoyed learning his game and getting to know each other personally as well. So he's been a great sounding board for myself early on this year, and loved playing with him last night. We were waiting for this moment for a while, and he was unbelievable last night.
How do you sum up Zach Merritt and what he does? He's become a clutch player. He's now hitting the scoreboard. He's kicked a lot of goals for the year, and in big moments, he's the one that often stands up. But give us your opinion of what you've noticed in your short time there.
Yeah, good point, Kane. The one thing I noticed most about Zach is how he values offence and defence just as much as the other. So it's, I suppose, almost rare these days to see that as your top line midfielder. So, his pressure, his tackling, he's the best tackler in the comp and probably the best kick in the comp. So to have that, those two things is pretty rare. So he's been a great leader, and he's developing his leadership skills as well. But from an on-field point of view, his ability to value both sides of the footy is something I've never seen in an individual to that level. Yeah.
One of the lesser profiled people at the club is Nick Hind, and yet he's so crucial, isn't he, to many of the plays you set up. Last night, 25 touches, a couple of goals. He brought the ball inside 50. He's had a history of starting or finishing a game as a sub, but he's important, isn't he?
He is. He's really versatile as well, Damo. I think last week he played down back and had an influence down there. He's played in the wing. Last night he was up forward, and he's a great energy giver for the group. He's a funny bloke, and he really values his time, and really appreciated some consistency probably the last couple of weeks, and he's really important and gives us a spark no matter where he is. So I think you really need those guys in your team. As you said, he's not maybe the most noticeable player, but he certainly values his role, and we love playing with him.
Did you think Dusty was going to rip the game away from you at some point last night?
Yeah, I think a few of the boys mentioned he loves Dreamtime against our club. So, yeah, he was good. He was sharp early, especially, and you just never know what he's going to do. He's always got that thing about him that he can tear a game open at any stage of the game, even late. He was their main go-to inside forward 50. So, yeah, he's some sort of player, obviously, and we certainly had our work cut out on the night.
You mentioned before about what a privilege it is to be playing in matches like this one, and how did it feel being out there prior to the match starting with the First Nations celebration? Yeah,
it was really cool. It's obviously, it means a lot to our footy club, and obviously we had Jade Gresham and Owen Davey Jr. a part of the playing group last night, but yeah, to see a bit of this footage here, what it means to a lot of people, and the pre-game stuff was something I hadn't experienced before, and what it means to so many people, First Nations and just everyone in general. So yeah, to be a part of it was another really cool moment for myself, but the club did a really good job throughout the week, and something we're all proud of to be a part of. In previous years, the Indigenous players have actually broken into dance themselves, and I thought that was going to happen last night. Yep. But, was that planned at all? I think they did it a couple of years ago, didn't they? Yeah. It might be slightly different every year, so we had a bit of a briefing before the game on what would happen, but I think the Indigenous boys came together just as the ceremony was finishing, which was a nice touch. So it was great. Every club does it well, and yeah, Dreamtime is obviously the pinnacle of the round. So yeah, to be a part of it and see what it meant to a lot of people was really cool.
Your mum, Tracy McKay, has become a media juggernaut in a very quick space of time. She's on Media Street, and she's doing a fine job. She works with Jackie de Koning on Mums with Mikes, the podcast. And, is she bigger than you and Harry now? She'd love that shout-out, Damo. I think so. She's getting a bit of a big head, so we need to bring her back down to earth. But she's doing well, mate. She's loving her time with the podcast, Mums with Mikes, through the AFL. So she's really interested in that space. So Jackie and her have got a bit of a bond through some of the stuff they did at Carlton, and yeah, it's really cool to see her happy and enjoying some things outside of her day-to-day life. So it's not quite the Ben and Harry podcast, so we don't want her to go too well, but it's good to see her happy. You say Ben and Harry. Harry says Harry and Ben. Well, it's actually Ben and Harry podcast as it's written, so I made sure it was Ben and Harry, TJ.
Before I do the votes, like your club you left haven't won a game yet, and you're now second on the ladder at your new club. Yep. Have you had North Melbourne players reach out to you, in a sense, and that's a tough question to ask, but asking about your experience and what it has been like at your new club? Yeah, I've got 3 or 4 guys I still, keep in contact with, and generally just want to know how I'm going as a person as well, which I appreciate. So, look, they're obviously in a bit of a difficult situation, but I've always said I love my time at North and wouldn't change anything, and have so much respect for that footy club. But there's probably 3 or 4 guys I keep in contact with and share experiences just as a general conversation. Whether that influences what they do going forward, I'm not sure. But it's always nice to keep in touch with some guys that you really respected and enjoyed playing with, and wish them all the best. But I'm really happy where I am, and I don't want to compare. And that's something I've really been aware of, mate. That changing clubs is a bit of a fresh start, and just worrying about what I can control. And always love my time at North and respect that footy club. But I'm doing what I am now at Essendon and really enjoying my time. So yeah. And just before we get to the votes, you're nearly there. Finally, the matchup. Yeah, with yourself and Harry. 2 weeks away, I think it is, CJ. So we'll get through the next week and see what happens. But I don't know, mate. It's been 9 years, so hopefully it happens this year. But I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if something bobbed up in the next 2 weeks. Because when Harry was on a couple of weeks ago, Lloydy asked him what would be a pass mark goal-wise. He said 3 or 4, and then he'd reset at half-time. Yeah, well, it's funny that Tom de Koning was on Triple M, I think, a week or 2 before that, and said the exact same line, so he's just copied Tom. So, we mentioned that on the podcast and gave him a bit of a hard time. So, Harry, come up with your own gear, mate. The votes from last night, Jordan Ridley, almost a 10. I thought about giving him a 10. That's how good footy was. Zach Merritt, I thought, when the game was there to be won, he won it for the Bombers late. Durham's just one of the most improved players in the game, and also Dusty Martin was back to his best with 3 goals too.
Ben, we really appreciate you coming in. You walk away with a stacked prize pack at Slew's Prize Pack. We'll start with Brownie's friends at Gumbaya World, water slides, thrill rides, everything unlimited access for you and the family. Clockers that bite, 1 pair of mini JLab buds, thanks to JLab. They're true wireless and pack over 5 hours of playtime. The Clutch & Co. Best dressed on the golf course with zip, top and quarter pants from Clutch & Co. A box of Chrome Tour golf balls and a cap thanks to our great mates there at Callaway. The Travis Matthews hats as well, another pair of those thanks to Travis Matthews. True Linkswear, the golf shoes, they're so good you want to wear them everywhere. TrueLinkswear.com.au. The bar fridges Australia, as we scan up there to them. Let's move. There it is. Bar Fridges Australia, they're back. Enjoy a custom designed bar fridge. To keep your drinks cool with a fridge with your name on it, a pair of Aquilas, premium quality footwear since 1958. What are you laughing at, TJ?
It's a recorded thing, and you're not telling the machine to
It's what
speed up.
Billy Brownless used to do. I thought it was funny. Anyway, Melbourne's finest artisan cookie shop. Treat yourself with a special delivery thanks to the Cookie Box, Platform 28.
Lordo.
See Lordo's friends there. The Rick's Eyewear, rickseyewear.com.au. And St. Goliath, elevate your wardrobe with the latest streetwear.
So that's a mouthful, Kane.
Yeah, well done.
Well done, well.
All yours.
Thanks,
Actually, I
mate.
think your mum and Jackie DeConing frequent Platform 28 after their broadcasts.
Do they?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do it pretty well there from all reports. So
Yeah.
thanks for the prizes.
Pleasure.